In the last video, I wrote something that would pipe every event to FIFO SQS to persistent DynamoDB, but I think I'm going to roll this change back because we have this table for creating event streams. So one idea is we can store these locally, and then when we have maybe 100 or so events, we can batch write them to S3. That way we don't need to worry about throttling issues going from SQS to DynamoDB. So let me just undo some changes. So we created, in spaces, we have this max sequence here, which I added off screen, I think, because we needed to load the max sequence into the gen server in order to produce events. So if I get rid of this, and then in spaces, there's the set max sequence, which I don't think I need this anymore. And then we'll revert this to get the max sequence from here. So that reverts that change. Then we need to populate it from the writer. We have writer, event writer. So instead of going to the queue, okay, so we're not going to populate the max sequence. We're not going to create an SQS entry here either. So let me just remove this, and we'll just remove this as well. And we'll remove all of this. Alright, so we're just going to need this back again. So we're going to have spaces create event. It'll put that event back in. Okay, I think we're good. So the only issue with this is that they pile up to the thousands quite easily. So we need to add something to back them up. Or we could just comment this out for now, save this for a separate ticket. But let's just see if that's working. So if we just drop our database, mix ecto drop, and mix ecto create, mix ecto migrate. Very good. And if we start our server, undefined max sequence. Yes, our model needs to change. Space model is not going to have a max sequence on this anymore. Okay, so we create a new space. That is fine. I go in here, create a grid. I'm moving around, and if I check over here, oh, was there something red? What was that? I think I'm fine. I'm inserting into the streams. And so I think these APIs should work again, which was localhost graphical. And if I have the space ID, I can come over here and I can say, show me the events. So the query, events, and the one that's required is the space ID, and just give me a list of events, which is a list of event stream, which will give me the sequence, the type, the payload, and the event timestamp. And all of this works. So our latest was 22 messages. good. And if we wanted to inspect a space, and what's in here? The ID of the space, the name, description, and what entities are there? Entities have name, type, components. Well, let's just do name and type. What do we have? In the space, we have a grid, and that is it. Okay. So we have achieved the first thing here. Don't send everything. And we're not sending it to S3 yet, but I will make that a logging option. How will we make that a logging option? One thing you can do is after every 100, we'll just save it to S3. And I think we can do that in the event writer, because this thing knows the sequence number. So if the sequence number mod 100 equals 0, then we can back them up. Now, should we put those in here? I kind of think it shouldn't go in there. We probably just want a different function. I think I can put it here for now. Let's say maybe we can just archive the XR spaces archive stream, give it and so what do we need? Assuming you're going to archive everything older than a certain event, then we just need the space ID and the sequence. So if the sequence mod by 100 is equal to 0, do they have a mod? 100 mod 2. Okay, there's no mod. Is it, what is Elixir Modulo operator? Remainder. This. And I don't think I need parentheses. Do this. And now we go implement this thing. So we'll go to spaces and we will define this thing. So we have the space ID and the sequence that we want to query everything. So here's our query, similar to this. From EN event stream select, so we're just going to get everything, where space ID and and what? E dot sequence is less than equal to sequence, and give me a whole bunch. So repo all query. Let me see if this works. So space equals repo one space, and import ecto query. So query equal from e in event stream. I need EXR event stream schemas undefined. Spaces. Yeah. Where the E space ID equals the S ID and the sequence is less than equal to 10. Repo all query. Okay, looks like it worked. So with these, we'll want to get something. So event stream kind of did the same thing. Last evaluated key from uniselect sequence event stream type payload. Where the space ID and sequence is greater than. Okay, so that goes the opposite direction. It goes give me more. Limit by that, order by sequence. Of course we want to order by sequence. Yes, we want this too, and we want, probably want this as well. Sequence to select and order by. We want to select and also order by. How did they do the order by? How did we do the order by? We did it this way. And what do we want to do with these? So then they did what? Repo all, and it should return that value. So let's recompile and try to run that function. So spaces archive and give me the space ID less than sequence 10, and it gives me an array of these things. Event timestamp payload sequence type. Okay, so if we did a JSON encode on all of these, we should be able to archive. Why don't you give me the client? So give me the client, and I'll send it for you. So we'll do client AWS. It's a client, so AWS what? S3 dot create put send make. Let's see. S3 SDK JavaScript. For multi-part upload, here is the thing. Bucket not like this. Okay, we need to create a bucket. We need a bucket first, but assuming we have a bucket, we can get object, list object, put object. Put object. That's what we want. As an object to a bucket, you must have write permissions on a bucket to add an object to it. Okay, so we have a put object params, and what are the params? Let's see. Here we go. Put object body binary string bucket key, and put object, and then just callback. Put object with the client, and the bucket, I guess, is a string. The key is a string, and then input is so we already got the body and the bucket. Let's look at the Go. Golang AWS S3 SDK put object. They might do a similar thing. Put object. Okay, so they've got a different kind of API bucket and put. Again, I am not sure because they move these. Are there other kinds of put bucket with different arity? Let me see. AWS S3 put object 5. That's it. Okay, so there's the only other one. Put object, here's the client, here's the bucket name, and the key. Alright, so the key will be, of course, the space ID, and timestamps are not unique. The sequence range might be unique though. So we can do maybe something like this, where this is the sequence, and this is sequence minus 99. So if you get 100, that's 1 to 100. When you're at 200, this will be 101. Then we need the body. So I'm assuming maybe this takes a body key, and maybe this takes the body equals this, pipe that to JSON encode. So we'll have a body here, and we need the bucket. Alright, so we'll just, what's going on here? So we'll probably need to test this out. Let's create our bucket first. So let me comment this out, and we need to undo our DK stuff. So let's go into our infrastructure, check out our app stack. So what do we have now? We have an app stack that has the event queue, which, let's just comment this out. We don't need an event queue yet. DynamoDB, let's turn that off too. We have a lambda, turn that off, uninstall that, uninstall this as well. So that's going to turn everything off. And I know from experience it doesn't actually remove the DynamoDB table, so I'm going to jump in there and turn it off and uninstall it. So let's hop over to S3. Let's go to Dynamo. And here's our table. Let's just, let's delete the total table. Don't need to create a backup. So that's deleting. And then we can go to infrastructure npx cdk diff. And it should show you that we need to delete a couple things. And so we'll give it the OK. So deploy that. Meanwhile, we want to look up the CDK stuff to create a new S3 bucket. So CDK S3. And we import AWS S3. And there's the bucket. So we'll go to import something like this. Import everything as S3 from AWS CDK lib / AWS 3. And we'll just pop this right here. So we got a bucket, and this will be the EXR event archive. And what kind of properties does this have? Let's take a look. Bucket props. Okay, read-only encryption, default KMS if encryption is specified or unencrypted, otherwise default encryption key false, enforce SSL, default false, bucket key enabled, bucket name. Okay, we'll give it a bucket name. Do we have a bucket name? No, we need a bucket name. Bucket name. And I think no one's going to have this. And what else? Remove policy, whether auto show when the bucket's removed from the stack or when the stack is deleted. Okay. Yeah. Remove everything if I destroy. Removal policy. Policy destroy. Okay. Auto delete objects whether should have versioning turned on or not. Default is false. Wait. Yeah, okay, that's for that. Wait, I'm confused. This note is for version. This is auto delete objects. Apply to policy apply when this bucket is removed from the stack. Yeah. If the bucket is removed, yeah, delete it. So that's removal policy, destroy, and auto delete objects is yes. Of course. Otherwise, you have a hard time removing it. Auto delete objects, true. This was a boolean, right? Yep. What else? Version, no. Lifecycle, okay. Version, no. Lifecycle rules, and yes, lifecycle rules, lifecycle web index document web direct access control grants public read access to all objects in the bucket. Similar to calling bucket grant public access. Public read access? You don't need public read access. This can be private metrics, cores, server access logs, inventories. Okay, I just need the lifecycle stuff. Lifecycle. Lifecycle rules is a collection of lifecycle rule. Lifecycle rule has an ID. It says that it's enabled, incomplete, expiration date. I can add this outside of this as well. Can I not? So with the bucket, I can say lifecycle, add lifecycle rule, and this is a kind of history lifecycle rule. So this has an ID enabled true. Expiration date. Expiration. Duration. Yeah, just expire them. Okay, so ID. Do I need an ID? Removal. Remove later. And expiration, either a date or as enabled is true. Expiration is the duration that is in days. Expire them after 7 days. How are we doing here? Now, diff. Okay. Deploy. Create S3 auto deleted, blah blah blah. Yeah. So meanwhile, while the bucket's being created, I can test over here. Let me create a client. So client equals AWS client create. let's try to write something. So spaces. Let's try to just put anything in here. Okay, AWS S3 put object client bucket. What's the bucket name? According to AppStack, this is the bucket name. And then what? Key name test. Then what is this thing? Is it? I'm guessing it's body. Which is hello world. And are we deployed? Let's try go. Key body not found. Okay, so you need capital body. Ooh. And may I see it? S3. S3, and we want to go to XR, event stream. Here's test. And if I want to open this, that is, oh gosh. I just want to show this as JSON or something. File name testing.txt. Save that. If I open this, it should say hello world. Yep, works good. Okay, so if this is going to be JSON, we want to set something. We should set it on the file. So when we did a put object, yes, the body can contain other things, right? And let's go here, put object. Is there a MIME type? MIME content type. Here we go. A standard MIME type describing the format of the object data. Okay, content type string. Let's do this. Content type is something. So what is the JSON content type? Application/JSON. So that will override that. So if we come over, and instead of overriding, let's just make sure. Let's call this. Actually, this isn't JSON. This isn't correct JSON. Let's do it this way. JSON encode something like A to B, and we'll put this under a different key, test2. Now if I go investigate over here, get test2, and if we click through here, can I open? Yes. Very cool. So that's what I want to do. Alright, so going to spaces, we'll do, here's the body, and this has to be capitalized, and this needs the content type to be application JSON. Put object bucket, yes, the bucket name will be the XR event stream archive, which we should move to a variable with space ID and sequence minuses. don't know. It's a magic number. But maybe you should give current sequence and sequence chunk size. Sequence chunk size. So we'll do the querying for da 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 da, and this becomes the chunk size minus 1. I don't really like it. Let's see. Archive the stream. So this assumes archive stream. How about batch archive? Batch archive event stream to S3. So this will be the sequence and the chunk size if it is at 100. You will minus the chunk size minus 1. And do we want to pad this? How much do you pad it though? The order of this, chronologically ordered, should have this padded, should it not? Otherwise you will get 0. Let's see. Let's do this first. Alright, let's invoke this thing over in writer. XR spaces batch archive this. We're going to get our event space ID, our event sequence. The chunk size will be, well, let's move that to the top. The chunk size 100, archive chunk size, and then this can be archive chunk size and archive chunk size, and then we hand this over to state.aws client, which is established in here and stuck in it from here. So we don't have this. This. And this is old. Okay, I should give it a try. We have to create about 100 events. Okay, I'm getting notifications that are supposedly on prod, but we're in dev. So unless the accounts are mixed. Okay. Let me check out something really quick. So, dev, do we have a honey badger? No, we only have this in prod. Environment name here, which this shouldn't be invoked. Anyway, we were going to test something. Host. So it should produce about maybe 50 messages or so. See what message we're at. This sequence here, third parameter here, values 1. Timestamp payload. And where's the sequence? Space ID. Here, 221. Okay, so if we go into the database, okay, here we go. Here's our space ID. And we're getting messages that look like this. 100 minus 1. What? It should be 101. What's in here? Let's open the file. Open the file. Sequence 1. Sequence 2. Sequence 3. Sequence 4. Okay. That's odd. And what about this thing? What's in here? Open. Sequence 1. Sequence 2. Oh, because we didn't delete it. Of course. Of course, that's what we forgot to do. In the archive. Archive spaces. After we do this, assuming this is, what's the return result of this? Back here, put object. I guess we can look at our previous when we did this. Client equals AWS client create. Okay, so you get this OK. So if you get OK something something, then do the other thing. So if you get case, do, and so if we get OK something and something, which is something something something, I think this is an OK followed by something followed by something followed by something, 4 somethings, and no match. Okay, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't tell what this is. Is it the massive tuple? Is it like this? No. Assign it, man. Response. Okay. R. Okay. Okay. 1, 2, and then a body. It's a huge body, so it's really just 3 things, right? So it's just a tuple with 3 elements. Okay, thing, and thing. That equals R, right? Yeah. I think that that's the case. And any other case, don't care. We just want this to be the case, and then what are you going to do? You're going to delete the stuff. So we'll create a new query. Query from blah 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 blah. I don't care whether the select from, and I don't care about the order. And I just say repo.delete all with the query. Is that right? What's the second argument here? Okay, let's create a new space. So we'll just create a new space. We'll delete this space. In fact, we'll go over here and we'll delete this. Files, yeah, delete them all. Permanent delete. And actually, so when we write, you're at, so this part is right, minus sequence is that same number, so that becomes 100. 100 minus 100 minus 1 becomes 1 more. No, I meant to say 100. So you can just do plus 1 then. Okay, because there we go. Now we go to host, and we'll just create a new space, abc something, enter files, create some primitives of a grid cylinder, and just go up into space. Close this up. We're writing tons of data, but it's only locally. And we'll come over here. And where are we at with this? We are in 193, so almost at the 200 mark. And now we are at the 227, so we should have some data to look at. Modulo 100, 121. This goes from 1 to 100, and this one goes 101 to 200. Alrighty then. So looks like we have finished the archive that I'm pretty confident has all the events and doesn't put a huge. The storage size isn't terribly big. How big are these files? They are 15 kilobytes. And we probably don't need to sort or search them. We'll just peek at them to look at events when we need to. Cool.